things falling the right way, could share the title. So it's going to be a big, busy day in the SEC. And it's great to have you with us alongside Madison Shipman. I'm Eric Freed. I know you love this because this is a great day and a great way to close out the season.
Yeah, well, Eric, it feels like it was just yesterday, back in February, we were talking about how there was so much parity across the sport, and how fitting is it that everything comes down to the last day of the regular season. Not just conference titles, not just seeding for conference tournament, but also everybody's looking ahead, looking to the postseason, seeing how many ways they can boost their resume before that selection committee gets together.
Parity in this series as well. Game 1 went to Florida. Game 2, a wild one, went to Georgia.
Georgia had the early lead on Thursday's game in Game 1, but it was Townsend Thomas blasting this one over the wall. She has been on a tear up at the plate for the Florida Gators, but it came down to Jocelyn Erickson in the top of the 7th inning, 3-2 count, 2 outs, and what does she do? Hits it off of the wall to give Florida the win in Game 1. Fast forward to Game 2, it was all Florida going into the bottom of the 5th inning, and that's when Georgia's offense came back to life. They ended up having a 7-run 5th inning. Sarah Gordon driving this one back up the middle to score a couple more Bulldogs, but that's not the end of the excitement in Game 2, Eric. It kept getting more and more exciting. Let's fast forward to the bottom of the 7th inning. 2 runners on board. Florida's trying to intentionally walk Jaden Goodwin. What does Goodwin do? She hits the pitch back up the middle. Talk about a way to win Game 2 in walk-off fashion when the opposing team was trying to intentionally walk you, but that sets up the perfect rubber match here in Game 3.
Here's the starting lineup for the Gators. 47-8 on the season, 17-6 in the SEC with Shoemaker, Erickson, Grover, and then Thomas in the cleanup spot.
15-game hitting streak for Townsend Thomas. How about that?
On a run, indeed. Ready for the first pitch to be delivered by Randy Rolling on what's turned into be a beautiful spring day here in Athens. And she starts Shoemaker with strike 1. Rolling in the circle for Georgia.
Randy Rolling had the start for Georgia back in Game 1, back on Thursday. She's somebody that really does a nice job of moving the ball well in every single part of the strike zone. And she's definitely going to need to do that today, because with every at-bat and every pitch that Florida has seen her, they're trying to take in that information. Works all 4 quadrants, though, and that's something she can use to her advantage, because she does have the drop, rise, screwball, curveball, and that changeup, which I would imagine she's going to try to use a bit more today.
Misses, and it's 2-1 to Shoemaker, leading hitter for this Florida team at .443 on the season. That's good for 3rd in the conference. Sophomore center fielder was 0 for 4 last night, 1 for 8 in the series. Rolling brings the 2-1. It's 3-1. Rolling got the start in Game 1, went 7, gave up 8 hits, 5 earned runs, struck out 6 through 131 pitches. Got the win last night, came on in the 7th to shut the door and give Georgia the chance to walk it off in the bottom of the 7th. Shoemaker works the walk to start things here in the 1st.
And to say that Randy Rolling was fired up at the end of last night's game, Eric, might be a huge understatement, because she was walking off the field, cheering on her teammates, firing up not just her team, but the crowd too. The crowd was into it.
Jocelyn Erickson fouls it off for strike 1. Erickson leading the team in homers with 19 and runs batted in with 68. 1 for 6 in the series. RBI double in Game 1, that 5-3 win that Madison just took you through a couple of moments ago. That's off the plate. It's 1-1.
That hitch that she had in the 7th inning of Game 1, what really stood out to me was the fact that she was 0 for the entire day heading into that at-bat. And that just goes to show you that you can never give up on any at-bat, because you never know when you're going to come up in the game's biggest moment.
Scooped by Miller behind the plate, and once again Rolling behind in the count, and Miller will go out and chat with Rolling. Also Emily Digby, the shortstop, coming over. A player-led conference in the circle here.
And I'd imagine, too, this has a lot to do with the fact that Randy Rolling just hasn't consistently hit the strike zone. This is not the time of the game where you want to start putting free passes on board, especially with Townsend Thomas coming up in that 4 spot. She is hoping to come up with people on base, and you don't want to just give up those free passes to set the table for her.
Erickson pops it up on the infield. Calling for it is Kirsten Roos at second base, 1 down here in the first. Sun fighting through the clouds, 63 degrees at first pitch, should be in the 60s today. We were a little concerned about the weather earlier in the week, and there was rain in the area this morning. Little light showers here, but I think we lucked out here today, especially when you look at the forecast in some other precincts of the SEC. Talking about you, College Station. That's out of play.
I feel like there were a lot of series, though, especially in the SEC, that had to get moved, or at least game times changed.
Yep. Doubleheader today in Baton Rouge, starting at 1:30 Eastern Time between Auburn and LSU. Doubleheader in Aggieland, starting about 1:15 Eastern Time between Oklahoma and A&M after that wild win for A&M spread over 2 days. Foul backing out of play, and it's 0-2 to Kendall Grover.
How about the start of that series? Oklahoma has the lead going into the lightning/rain delay on Thursday. They resumed game 1 yesterday, and the Aggies come out and just pour it on Oklahoma, and they end up winning game 1. And now Oklahoma just had to kind of sit on that loss because now they got to play a doubleheader today.
I'm sure it's not sitting very well.
Nope.
Grover battling, another 0-2 to come. Grover at 318, the senior who plays third base. She had the game 1 RBI in the 7th that extended the lead for Florida to 5-3, and that was the final. 2 for 8 in the series. Another one scooped up by Miller. 1-2 now to Grover. Rolling has thrown 8 innings in this series so far, giving up 8 hits, 5 earned runs. She's struck out 7. Make it 8. 2 down.
I think some of that passion and energy from last night is carrying over into today's game. Randy Rolling goes back upstairs with this rise ball, a really uncomfortable, hesitant swing by Kendall Grover, and that was set up by the pitch before. Drop ball down in the dirt. Now, she missed it for a ball, but you could tell by her reaction that she really liked the location, the movement of that pitch, and the way that Marissa Miller picked it out of the dirt.
Jammed. Thomas back over behind first, and Gabby Novickas can't hold on to it for the final out. So it's strike 1 to Thomas.
Take another look at this play as Novickas is going back for it. Looks like it's right in her glove and just kind of spins out of there at the last moment. With the way that Townsend Thomas has been swinging the bat, that could be a huge misplay down the first baseline.
One to Thomas at 382 on the season. Redshirt freshman in the first 9 games of the season was 5 of 25 at the plate, but she has picked it up, actually hitting 382 in conference games. So overall at 382 in conferences, she's brought that overall average up.
And she can do so many things from the left side. She can slap, she can bunt, and she can hit with power. And when I say slap, it's a power slap. She is swinging the bat with some serious authority when she is walking through that batter's box. Like that cut right there, she was looking to send that one all the way out into the trees. And I find, too, she almost gets better as the at-bat goes on. She's really, really good with 2 strikes. I double-checked it this morning. She's batting .333 this year in 2-strike counts.
It's where she is right now. Here comes the 2-2 from Rolling. Slow roller foul. You talked about her hitting prowess. We also know she can make highlight reel catches in the outfield.
Absolutely. Sports Center top 10 highlight reel catches.
Saw that Tuesday. Maybe we'll run that back when she's in the field in a little while. That's worth seeing again, ending that game against the Seminoles on Tuesday.
Especially because it looked like if that ball drops, Florida State was about to tie up the game.
Good AB by Thomas. Count is full. at 3-2. So with 2 down, Shoemaker will be off with the delivery by Roll. Payoff pitch. Line shot to center, drifting back and making the catch is Natalie Ray. Made it look pretty easy. Hard hit by Thomas, and that will do it for Florida in the top of the first. Georgia at the plate next. Here on a Saturday afternoon for this rivalry matchup between Florida and Georgia. And in the circle for a 3rd time this series, Keegan Rothrock.
You can say that for both pitchers, right? Both pitchers have now come in 3 different times. Both of them now starting 2 games. Each of them came in relief in yesterday's ball game. But Keegan Rothrock, pitcher that is very, very well known for her rise ball. She has so much tight spin on her pitches. That's going to be a pitch that she's going to use a lot against this Georgia lineup to try to induce some of those weak fly ball outs, trying to make sure that they can't get their hands too far extended on some of these pitches.
Kirsten Roos steps in and fouls it off for strike 1. Here is the Georgia lineup with Roos, Goodwin, Gordon, and Novickis, the top 4, before Tyler Ellison, Marissa Miller, Lindemuth, Digby, and Ray. 5 seniors in the starting lineup here on Senior Day. Familiar look for this team. There's been a little tweak at the top. Roos, during that Oklahoma series, was dropped down in the lineup, but she's back in the leadoff spot. Ooh, Cahalan went a long way to get it. Snow cone being served here in Athens, 1 down.
Big smile on Kenley Cahalan's face, too. You can see she reaches out for this one, and it just literally gets caught right in the fingertips of her glove. Even the reaction on Taylor Shoemaker's face as she caught that one, I think it's a similar reaction to what we had up here in the booth and probably Cahalan had in her mind as well. Still looks like an out in the scorebook, right?
Goes in the book.
There's no barely.
Fly out to 6, but it was closer to 8. Uncharacteristic for Florida. Last night, Madison, they had 3 errors. This is a team that we've watched through the years. Very rarely beats themselves. Excellent defensive team, but 3 errors gave a total of 20 on the season after last night.
And a couple of outfield miscues, too, which is even more rare to find. And those miscues were something that Georgia was able to capitalize on and kind of build some momentum off of, I think, part in which, to your point, Eric, is the fact that this is a team that just barely makes those types of mistakes. You think about it historically, looking at Florida's defense, they're just a team that does not beat themselves. So you almost feel as an opponent, when you come in to play Florida, you have to be perfect.
Jaden Goodwin fouls it off. It's 2-2 to the senior left fielder. 4-12 on the season. That's good for a tie for first with Novickis on this Georgia squad. She had the walk-off to beat Florida last night. Georgia was down 7-2. They walked away with the win. Fly ball to the left fielder, Thomas. 2 down.
First 2 batters of this game, and both of them fly ball outs, and that's exactly what Keegan Rothrock wants. She wants to be able to locate those rise balls in on the hands so that she gets that backspin, gets those Wheaton fly ball outs to her outfield. She can also expand and use different parts of the zone, but really that rise ball is her bread and butter in my mind as far as where she's going to get majority of her outs.
Strike 1 to Sarah Gordon, senior right fielder at 4.05 on the season. 3 for 7 in the series with a double and 3 runs batted in. That double, her team best 16th on the season. Rothrock ahead in the count, 0-2. 38th appearance for Keegan Rothrock. We know she has been a workhorse for the Gators since stepping on campus in Gainesville. "26 wins, opponents hitting 190 against the junior. Had a no-hitter against South Carolina in conference play, the 3rd of her career. Game 1 went the distance, gave up 6 hits, 3 earned runs, struck out 5 through 109 pitches. Comes inside and misses, ball 1. And she'll be right around 70, 71, 72 is top end of her zone, right?
Yeah. I just was laughing because I feel like we hear 70 so often now that we're like, oh, just a casual 70, 71 miles per hour.
And on the hands, that's going to drop, but guess who's in left field? Townsend Thomas makes another pretty play in the outfield. Now we'll retire to side.
Townsend Thomas looking to make SportsCenter top 10 not once but twice this week. Very similar looking plays out there in left field. How about the diving grab, the end of the inning? Townsend Thomas. Base. This is one of those plays where as an outfielder you have to decide, are you going to go for it? Are you going to go for the dive and try to make the catch? Because if you miss that ball, there's a chance that that ball could roll all the way to the wall, and all of a sudden that runner at first base has a chance to score. But she went for it and it paid off. An incredibly athletic play out there in left field, and she's making it look easy again today.
On to the second inning. Kenley Cahalan leading off for Florida. 1 for 5 with a couple of walks in the series. One and one. Kenley had 302 last season in her first year with Florida. 377 entering play here today. Slicing foul. Looks like it's going to be just enough room for Goodwin to get it. We're seeing some web gems here early in Athens.
I think we should add to our scouting report, early scouting report here in Athens very quickly. Do not hit it anywhere near left field, whether Florida's on defense or Georgia's on defense, because those outfielders are covering some serious ground. Off the bat, I thought there was no way that thing was going to even stay in play. That's a great play by Jaden Goodwin to get that out.
Florida came in tied for first in fielding percentage in the SEC and the country. Georgia's had a good year in the field as well, though. Tied for 5th in fielding percentage entering play today. 24 total errors. They had 2 yesterday. Ava Brown has had a good series at the plate, down the count 0-1.
That Georgia defense has been a big area of improvement when you look at where the team was last year and compare it to this year. And when we had a chance to talk to Coach Baldwin, even last season, he said that the defense, that was something that they were working on continuously to try to shore up. This year, it's been a night and day difference. They've been able to make the routine plays, but also make the extraordinary plays.
0-2. Misses for ball 1. Brown 3 for 5, 4 runs batted in, a couple of walks in the series. Does have a home run. She did return to the circle to pitch for the first time since February 21st as she comes back from leg injury. She's been in this DP spot, but saw in the circle, maybe to kick off a little rust yesterday. We'll see how much she's able to go in the postseason. Two-way player for the Gators. Squibbed foul. Wide of first.
She's still been able to do damage, though, up at the plate. Home run already in this series. Pretty remarkable, too, when you look at the fact that she missed so many games at the beginning part of the season, and I had the opportunity to call Florida when they were at Arkansas earlier this year, and at that point, Coach Tim Walton said that she had just been standing in bullpen. She was just watching live pitches, hadn't actually taken a swing yet, and then all of a sudden, the next thing we know, she's out there in the lineup.
Brown goes down on strikes. Second strikeout for Rolling. 2 down.
Working this pitch up and inside. It's another one of the rise balls up and underneath the hands. Kind of similar to the pitch that we saw Kendall Grover strike out on earlier in the game. She goes back to it there and racks up her second strikeout of the afternoon.
That's 117 on the season for Rolling, who came into the game today throwing 40 more innings than our next closest teammate, Addison Fisher. Ground ball to the shortstop, Digby to Novickus. A 1-2-3 inning for Randy Rolling. 1.5 in the books here in Athens. We're scoreless.
Season titles, but Daddy-Daughter Day, Senior Day, so many fans, young fans here too. Brings back some memories of not just my own senior day, but also being able to go out there and play catch with my dad when I was younger.
They had teams lined up, as you saw, just outside the infield dirt and on the warning track. They had another parade of dads and daughters, so a lot going on here at the Jack today. 0-2 the count to the freshman, Gabby Novickus.
So many young travel ball teams, it looks like, here in their uniforms in the crowd too. Getting a chance to watch this huge SEC rivalry. Really does feel like postseason. I know postseason is next weekend, but it really does feel like it's here already.
It's here. Novickus goes down quickly, strikeout for Rothrock, her first, one down. So it is senior day, and I mentioned there's 5 seniors in the starting lineup and 7 total for this Georgia team. And I'm gonna give Tyler Ellison's family the gold star here because we asked them pregame. They said the count is 41 friends and family here to support Tyler, who's at the plate right now, who takes ball 1.
Absolutely incredible. I love to see it and love to see all the matching jerseys too. Everybody's got an Ellison 4 jersey on.
Yes. There they are. I think maybe they've adopted a few more. That looks like more than 41 now. Tyler has been quite the story. Senior from McDonough, Georgia. Her freshman year, I don't know if there was 41 people here supporting her, but from a distance they were, but she had 1 hit as a freshman, 8 hits as a sophomore. Stuck with it, developed. 39 hits last year, and this season she's hitting .388 with a team best 42 runs batted in.
You look at those first 2 years, 38 combined at bats. You fast forward to last year, had 8 home runs and already up to 8 home runs this year. I look at the run production too. 42 RBIs already on the season for Tyler Ellison. And just to continue to work and improve and get better each and every day. It's really fun going through career stats for a player like Tyler Ellison and just seeing the constant improvement year over year.
Slap through the right side and a base hit. That'll get the Ellison fan club on their feet. It's the first hit of the game for either team.
Great swing by Tyler, too, being able to drive the ball the opposite way. She's got one of those swings that can adapt to pitches up, pitches down, and her entire family loves it. Not just the jerseys, they've got the signs, the pom-poms, everything going on with the 41 family members out here to support Tyler Ellison. That's what Senior Day is all about.
Second hit of the series for Ellison, who's aboard with 1 down. Little issue for Ella Wesolowski trying to get the communication going with his suit up here.
It is loud in here. You got to make sure that you can hear those signals coming in from the dugout.
Plate umpire Alex Lee. Scott Merritt first, Tatum Stokling at third. Here's Marissa Miller. Senior catcher takes strike 1. Miller, .278 on the season. Ground ball, grabbed by Grover at third. The force at second 1. The turn, did she keep her toe in the bag? Jocelyn Erickson did. Double play number 23 turned by Florida's defense this season to retire the side.
The defense already showing off for both teams. The snag by Kendall Grover over at third base. It's another snow cone. This time the snow cone turns into a 5-4-3 double play to end the inning.
All starts Tuesday in Lexington. I'd like to tell you who's seeded 1 through 15, but that's hard to do right now. A couple of spots are set, that's for sure. Rolling first pitch to Wesolowski, fouled off here in the third. And for these two teams, Madison Shipman, Florida with a win here today, and if Texas A&M sweeps Oklahoma, they would be regular season co-champs in the SEC. That's what's still at play here. You could have Oklahoma, Alabama, Florida, and Texas A&M all number 1. Oklahoma has the half-game lead on Alabama going into the final day of the season. And as we mentioned before, Oklahoma and A&M have a doubleheader in College Station today.
This is my favorite time of the year where I toss all the math your way to come up with all the different scenarios.
I noticed she got pretty quiet there. Wesolowski down on strikes. Rolling gets her third strikeout. One away.
Randy Rolling doing a great job out there in the circle. This time she works with that screwball that has a bit of arm side run to it, and it's moving up in the zone away from the right-handed batters. Continuing to get more and more fired up as this game goes on. I like how she's expanded both directions too with her pitches. Doesn't just rely on those curveballs going into the right-handed batters, but will also have pitches that will break the completely opposite direction.
Number 9 hitter, Gabby Comia, sophomore second baseman at the plate. 342 on the season. Takes the ball, it's 2-0. 1 for 6 in the series. That one was an infield single in game 1 that got Florida started. She came around to score to put Florida on top 4-3 in that 7th inning. There's a strike, 2-1. SEC playing their final series of the season on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, not carrying it to Sunday or to Monday as normally happens for one series. Popped out to the shortstop Digby, 2 down here in the 3rd. NWSL tomorrow, it's Chicago and Portland. You'll see it 1:80 Eastern time over on ESPN2. Sure, we got some 2-sport youngsters in this building here today.
Probably 3 and 4 sport youngsters too. I'm all for it.
Top of the order, Shoemaker. Walked her first time. There's a strike. Two and one. Left-handed hitters hitting .281 against Rolling this year. Righties .213, and this is a Florida lineup that has 6 left-handed hitters out of the 9 in the starting lineup today.
Reverse splits for Randy Rolling out there.
3-1 to Shoemaker.
You typically see the right-handed batters have more success against the lefty pitcher than the lefties do, but I think a lot of that too speaks to how she can work to every single quadrant of the strike zone, and she doesn't just rely on one pitch to get outs every time.
3rd time she's gone to a 3-ball count today. Counts full to Shoemaker.
Goes with that drop ball 3-1 too. We've seen a lot of upspin pitches from her so far, whether it's the curveball, the rise ball, the screwball. That time working the drop down in the bottom part of the zone and gets the call right at the knees.
Just missed, and Shoemaker walks for a 2nd time today.
Goes right back to pretty much the exact same spot. That time doesn't get the call on it, but I like the location there. Not all walks are created equal, and I think this is a really good location to throw to somebody like Taylor Shoemaker, who has so much power. And to me, it looked very similar, if not the exact same, to the pitch prior to that that was just called a strike.
Rolling one's time. Here's Jocelyn Erickson. Popped out her first time. Shoemaker's walked 3 times in the series, but Erickson and Shoemaker combined are 2 for 15 in the series. We talked to Tony Baldwin before the game about one of the keys to the series for Georgia was trying to keep that 1-2 punch at the top of the order quiet, and he has to like what he's seen so far.
Yeah, I'd imagine too, when you're doing a good job of figuring out a way for both of those batters to not have consistent hard contact.
This is hit well to right, and it's off the wall. It's a fair ball. Extra bases, Shoemaker being waved around. She'll score the game's first run. Erickson holds at second. It's a 2-out RBI double for Jocelyn Erickson.
And what you can do, too, when you look at an entire series, you take into account where the pitchers are throwing you in game 1, where they're throwing you game 2, and you can use that as your game plan when you come into game 3. With the way that the infield and the outfield was shifted, they were playing Jocelyn Erickson to pull. They were trying to jam her up on the inner half. And Jocelyn Erickson, instead of taking that pitch, just goes for it, brings her barrel up to it, and drives it off the wall down there in right field.
RBI number 69 on the season for Erickson. And that 1-2 punch at the top of the Florida lineup held in check for a couple of games, but not so far here today. Shoemaker on base twice. Erickson delivers the RBI double to make it 1-0 Gators.
Another 2-out RBI for this Florida Gators team, too.
First 7 runs yesterday were all scored with 2 outs, and that 7th inning in game 1 where they won, those were 2-out runs.
I'd imagine Coach Tim Walton is very thrilled with the 2-out production. Sometimes when it comes time to postseason, you have to be able to come through with the timely piece of hitting, and it might come, your opportunity might come when you've got a runner on with 2 outs.
Grover got all of it. Lindemuth, who's an outstanding third baseman, had that glove positioned just the right way.
This one hit right on the money, but it just goes straight to Lindemuth, ready at the hot corner for out number 3.
DNA results. Save now at Ancestry.
Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. Been a good series here at the Jack. 1-0 Florida as we head to the bottom of the third. Joined now by Tony Baldwin on Senior Day. Tony, are you the crying type? Are you emotional? Were you?
Yeah, my wife gets mad at me because I cry for other people. I usually don't cry for things that are closer to me. But
we'll pull up a couch for you, to talk about that more. But was today an emotional day for you with this group of 7 seniors?
For sure, yeah. I mean, they've been wonderful to coach. They're the epitome of what Georgia softball is all about, and they've really grown into strong, confident women. But I got my tears out the other night when they released the little trailer, so I was better prepared for today.
Oh, smart.
Well, Coach, another rubber match for you guys here in Game 3, facing Keegan Rothrock now for the third time this series. What do you want to see from your offense moving forward to try to chip away at this score?
Yeah, I feel like we've had some good at-bats so far, but, ultimately, these Game 3s are a game of adjustments, and she seems like she's using her off-rise a little bit more, and so we're going to have to just continue to time the ball that we get and manage the speed variation. She's really tough. She's an All-American for a reason and one of the best in the conference, so, we got our work cut out for her, but we'll keep chipping away at her.
Thanks, Tony. We appreciate it.
Yep, go Dogs.
Tony Baldwin, now in his 5th year as Georgia's head coach, 14th year total on the Georgia staff, 3 straight trips to the Super Regionals. And when you look at the schedule for Georgia over these last 3 weeks, they had the series with Texas that was tight, right? Went extra innings in Game 3 to decide the series. The Longhorns picked up the win after getting a 6-3 win in 8 innings in that third game. Then they were at Oklahoma after getting run-ruled in 6 in Game 1. 2 tight games, 3-1, 6-5. They were up 3-0, but lost 6-5, and now they get Florida.
Happy end of the season. Happy end of the regular season to Georgia. Here is Florida and Oklahoma and Texas in the last 3 weekends.
Texas 5th ranked in the country when they played. Oklahoma ranked 1st, and now Florida ranked 8th. Obviously, you can look at the glass being half full and say, well, we're ready for the postseason. You can throw anything you want at us in the regionals and hopefully the supers if you're Georgia, because we've been through it these last 3 weeks.
I think, too, when you look at their schedule at the beginning of the year, too, they played in Clearwater. They were playing Oklahoma State, Nebraska, NC State, UCF, Northwestern, Duke. So they really came out of the gates with a tough schedule, and then you cap it off with a tough end of the regular season in conference play.
3-1 the count to Bailey Lindemuth, leading things off here in the third. Leadoff walk, second base runner for the Bulldogs. See what they do here with the bottom third of the order, Madison. Digby is the number 8 hitter. She's at 336 on the season. Natalie Ray, the number 9 hitter, is 4th on the team in hitting at 390. Do they go small ball here with Digby? She is squaring the bunt, lays it down. It's fair ball, and it's a successful sacrifice by Digby. Lindemuth, the second one down.
Well executed by Digby as well, because you know when you're facing Rothrock, she's going to try to get you to pop up that bunt with some of those rise balls at the top of the zone. But she was very intentional about getting her barrel on top of the ball, right over to Kendall Grover, who for a second looked like she was going to try to throw to second to get the lead runner, but instead decided to throw across to first base to get that sure out over at 1.
So here is Ray, the senior center fielder, transferred over from North Georgia. Georgia 9 for 18 with runners in scoring position this series. Ray 1 for 2 in the series. 1-1. Two and 1. Natalie, a one-time SEC Player of the Week this season, back at the end of March, hit .714 in a 4-game stretch, highlighted by a grand slam in the Kentucky series. Three and 1.
You can see with Rothrock in this at-bat, some of those pitches just missing their spots. Looks like that one was supposed to be located up and inside to Natalie Ray, and instead kind of falls out of her hand. It misses arm side, and because of that, pitching coach Stephanie Van Brakel of Pro Throw is going to come out to have a chat with her battery just to try to get Keegan Rothrock back on track here.
While they talk, I can tell you that we have a Major League Baseball doubleheader Thursday night on ESPN. Rays and Red Sox get it started at 7 Eastern time, then the Cards and the Pods at 10. Catch both games on ESPN, also available on the ESPN app. So the conversation in the circle continues. Tim Walton brought together the infield while the battery was talking with Stephanie Van Brakel Pro Throw. Three-1 to Ray. Ground ball right side. Comia to first. Over to third goes Lindemuth, 2 down.
Nice job for Keegan Rothrock to bounce back and bring something into the zone. And as a batter, too, when you're in a 3-1 count and the pitching coach just comes out to talk to the pitcher, you can almost guarantee that the pitch is going to be a strike the next one. I'd love to know the stats on that, on the amount of times that a pitcher throws a strike after the pitching coach comes out. But she was aggressive, and she went after a pitch a little bit low and away and hit a ground ball to the right side.
Strike one to Kirsten Roos. Popped out to the shortstop. Cahalan made the snow cone catch in center field, her first time. One and one. Roos hit a 2-run home run in game 1 Thursday that tied the game up at 3. Now 5 for 9 in the series with 3 runs scored. Trying to chase Lindemuth home from third. 2-1.
That home run came on a rise ball against Keegan Rothrock, maybe missing a little bit more over the middle of the plate, but it was up. This time in this at bat, they're really trying to work those rise balls on the outer half.
Line shot, base hit, and it's a tie game. Roos, big wide turn. She'll hold there. Ball is free on the infield, but it's an RBI single. And Georgia has scored with 2 down here in the third.
Another great piece of hitting by Kirsten Roos. We had just talked about how they were trying to work her away, but her barrel was ready for anything that was going to be middle and inside. She was going to turn on it. She was going to drive it down the line. And she did exactly that with a pitch that was more up, but on the inner half, and she smokes it past Kendall Grover over at third base.
2 down for Jaden Goodwin. Fly to left her first time. That's out of play for strike one.
Can't help but think back, Eric, to that walk-off that Georgia had last night. And I don't know about you, but I think several softball fans across the country were probably having flashbacks to last year's Women's College World Series, where Nigeri Kennedy for Texas Tech went to intentionally walk Reese Atwood in the championship series, and Reese Atwood ended up getting her first hit of the World Series against a pitch that was supposed to not even be close to the strike zone.
You went through at the top of the telecast where Shorty was at the plate, reached out, and hit a pitch that was supposed to be outside the zone. That's off the glove of Grover. She's got time, makes the throw just in time. Don't think we'll have a challenge here. Good job by Grover to stick with it. We're tied at 1 after 3.
To see compete here in their senior seasons in college ball and move over to the professional ranks, and 2 more teams added to the AUSL in comparison to last season. So love to see the growth and the expansion across the country.
Thomas tries to bunt, pops it out to Lindemuth. 1 pitch, 1 out here in the 4th.
I believe it's been 17 golden tickets that have been handed out so far this season. Some great pitchers, too, have also been the recipients of some golden tickets, along with Tim Walton's.
It was interesting because that was after a loss in Gainesville, and normally it'd be like, oh gosh, we're going to do this, but you can just see the joy, the celebration for the accomplishments for those 2 individuals to be recognized. And that just, we were in Gainesville on Tuesday, just talked about how that kind of just lifted the cloud off after a 4-0 loss to Auburn and kind of turned it into a bit of a celebration, which was, and that was cool to see. And I think so many of those presentations, if not all of them, if we've watched all of them, just the pure joy, the tears, right from Nigeri Kennedy being the first one and those who were surprised. And it was just a great way to execute a plan.
And to be able to be on the field and celebrate with your teammates, too. The element of surprise along with it, you're always wondering who's going to get the next one. But then to your point, Eric, to be able to have that moment of just joy and celebration of all your years of hard work, not just collegiately, but you even go back to travel ball in high school and all the years and lessons and practices leading up to that moment. Just such an incredibly special moment for all of those athletes.
Cahalan ground ball right side. Throw to first is wild. Gets away from the catcher backing up the play. So Cahalan is going to take second base as Rolling's the one who retrieves the ball back against the backstop. Looked like trouble was brewing right off the bat as it was grounded a little bit into no man's land. Georgia got caught a little scrambly here.
Kirsten Roos is playing a little bit up the middle, and Gabby Novickus is off the line just a bit because Kenley Cahalan does have power. So Kirsten Roos had to go a long way into the 3-4 hole. I think even if that throw was on line, it would have been a very close play over at first base, but that miscue on the throw puts Cahalan over there in scoring position.
Scored a single and an error on Roos on the throw to allow Cahalan to go to second. That's the 3rd error for Georgia defensively in this series.
Really uncharacteristic on both sides for both teams, just some of the errors that we've seen throughout this series. And we talked about it earlier, some of the miscues that have been in the outfield.
Off the end of the bat, dropping quickly, and he'll drop in for a base hit. Cahalan was holding to see what happened, so she'll be held at third by Walton. Runners on the corners for Florida with 1 down in the 4th. Ava Brown has her 4th hit of the series.
This one hit right off at the end of the bat. It's a screwball going away from the righty Brown. So because she gets it off the end of the bat, it just drops into no man's land over there, over the head of Kirsten Roos. And Cahalan had to watch to make sure that that ball dropped in the outfield before she took off towards third base. So Coach Tim Walton holds her up, and now pitching coach Chelsea Wilkinson out to have a chat with Randy Rolling and Marissa Miller back behind the plate.
So as they all chat, I have time to tell you about the NBA playoffs coming up tomorrow. Game 7, Magic and Pistons in Detroit. 3:30 Eastern time on ABC. The Magic up by 24 last night. They lost by 14 when Orlando scored just 19 second-half points. So they'll wrap it up tomorrow, Game 7 on ABC. First and third, one down for the junior right fielder, Cassidy McClellan. Grounded to short her first time. And this is for ball one. We've talked about how Randy Rolling has been fired up, and she's kind of set the intensity level for this Georgia team. She's going to have to battle right here in a 1-1 game, and Florida threatening. 1-1. McClellan 2 for 6 in the series.
Eric, I'm kind of keeping my eye on this defense here. Remember, Ava Brown over at first base had dealt with an injury throughout this season. So I wonder if she's not going to be on the move here. I'd almost be tempted if I'm working defensively for Georgia, maybe having the middles play a little bit further back, seeing if you can roll up a double play to get out of this inning if you were to get a ground ball more up the middle. But it does look like Emily Digby over at shortstop is playing in to cut down that run from scoring.
Rolling brings the 1-2, gets the strikeout, 2 down, and you can see some of that fire after the strikeout.
You know what's better than a ground ball out? A strikeout for Randy Rolling. Goes back upstairs with this rise ball. They're going to keep chasing at it. You go ahead and continue to keep climbing that ladder higher and higher to get the big swing and miss. And the second out of this inning, although the second out has been with both teams have scored their runs today.
Here's Ella Wesolowski, struck out her first time. Rolling starts her with strike one. Off the end of the bat, foul, and Rolling's ahead in the count 0-2. Florida opened the scoring last inning in the third. Shoemaker walked. She was brought in by Jocelyn Erickson with a 2-out double. Here in the fourth, first and third in a 1-1 game. Rolling a strike away from getting out of it. Popped up on the infield. Roos, second baseman, calls for it. And Georgia, led by Rolling, gets out of the jam. We'll talk with the Florida head coach, Tim Walton, when we come back to Athens. Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. Good one going here between Florida and Georgia. The Gators ranked 8th, tied with Georgia at 1. We're joined now by Tim Walton. Final day of the regular season, Tim. Is there one characteristic of your team that stands out to you more than others that makes this team as good as they are?
Yeah, I think the grittiness we've shown. You know, we've had some bad days this season, but not a lot of them. Pretty good bounce back mentality. And I think, you know, just the ability to, you know, we scored a ton of runs with 2 outs. So it just tells you a little bit about not only the grittiness, but the toughness that we've shown. This weekend we've scored, you know, most of our runs with 2 outs.
Right.
And the toughness, too, looking back to game 1 for Jocelyn Erickson, she comes through after being 0 for 3 with a big hit for you guys late in the game, comes through again today. What is it that leads to her success that you see on a day-to-day basis?
Well, it's just constant self-reflection. You know, you look at where she was at on Thursday, and then last night and where she's at today. She just does a really good job. She's a competitor. But self-reflection, just figure out where you're at. What do you feel like? Are you connected? Does your body feel like making good choices at the plate, swinging at good pitches, so things like that. So I think the self-reflection, big-time competitor, you know, at times that can get in the way of a lot of people, but I think she's done a really good job being able to manage just as how and what type of tiny little tweaks she makes.
Tim, thank you. Best of luck in the postseason.
Thank you, guys.
Coach.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Go Gators.
I just wrote that down, by the way. Self-reflection. Ooh, I should try that.
I really like that term, though, because instead of, going back through it and being super critical of maybe your performances or nitpicking, but kind of just getting a feel for what did things feel like? How did that swing feel like? Or how did that at-bat feel like? And using that to give you information as you go through. That's the benefit of a 3-game series, right? You can use every single pitch to your advantage.
Ground ball, gloved by Grover. It's a fair ball to throw across the first, not in time. And Sarah Gordon is aboard to start things here in the 4th.
Not for a second that Kendall Grover had this play over at first base. She has been working over there at third. Dives over across the foul line, picks it up, throws from her knees in the stretch by Erickson over at first base. Just not in time, but a very, very good defensive play.
So Gordon, who was robbed of a hit her first time, has her 4th hit of the weekend. And here is Gabby Novickas. To rights, put away by McClellan, 1 away. Self-reflection too, if you think about, talked about for years, you think back to your playing days, you're going to fail at the plate more than you're going to succeed, right? I mean, just think about it, just the nature of the sport.
It's tough to deal with, it really is.
And just, maybe you go for 4, but maybe there's like, well, you know what? I hit it well, or I picked up the pitch, or it just didn't find the spot. We were talking to Tony Baldwin about that before the game. They were in a stretch, especially against these really tough teams, where they were hitting balls right at people, or they weren't finding the holes that maybe they found yesterday against Florida. So you just got to kind of be honest with yourself, give yourself a little grace, right? I mean, I know you were always tough on yourself.
Still am.
You stopped that. You didn't stop that.
Oh, no. There is it's that balance, because there are a lot of athletes across the country, too, that have a bit of that perfectionist mentality, and it's difficult to have that type of mentality in a sport of failure.
Grounded to Grover, could be 2. It's off the glove of Comia. I don't know if she was just thinking, make that quick turn to try to double up Ellison at first. Everybody's safe with 1 down.
We've seen some great defense in this game, but also we've seen some miscues from teams that typically just do not make these types of mistakes. The throw is a little bit up, but that's a throw that has to be caught by Gabby Comia. And Gabby Comia is a great defender over at second base. We have seen her throughout the year make some incredible plays, but that one right there is just a mistake of her just not getting that glove up enough to get that first out at second base.
To the gap in right center field, down into the wall for extra bases. Marissa Miller has brought in 1. Ellison held at third, and Georgia's in front here in the 4th. The error proves costly for Florida.
You're seeing Georgia make adjustments with their barrels to be able to get to these pitches. You heard Coach Tony Baldwin talking about the change in speeds. Well, how can you maximize essentially your margin for error when you've got a pitcher like Keegan Rothrock that is mixing speeds? Well, is keep your barrel back behind your hands. And Georgia's right-handed batters are putting on an absolute clinic on how to drive the ball to the apogee in the right center gap.
Ball 1 to Bailey Lindemuth. So just backtracking, the infield hit for Gordon. Novickas flies out to right. Ellison reaches on a fielder's choice, but it's a throwing error charged to Grover at third. So it was first and second with 1 out, and then Miller wastes no time with the RBI single. This one's hit well to right center field. Under it is McClellan tagging at third and scoring, with Georgia's third run is Ellison. 3-1 Bulldogs. RBI number 26 on the season for Bailey Lindemuth.
And again, Eric, where is that ball going? All the way out to the apogee, or the Georgia sign that's out there in the right center gap. That is the way that they are trying to swing the bat. They want to let that ball travel. That's exactly where these righties are trying to aim to hit it, because they want to adjust their timing to be able to hit not just the rise balls up, but those off-speed rise balls as well.
Strike 1 to Emily Digby. Sacrificed her first time. A run in the third, 2 here in the 4th for the Bulldogs to take the lead. Fly ball 2 left, Thomas to the track, to the wall, it's over the wall! 2-run home run, Emily Digby! 5-1 Georgia.
Each and every one of the swings that these Georgia batters have taken in this inning, they are wearing down Keegan Rothrock. They are forcing her to try to throw different pitches because the righties were driving the ball the opposite way on those rise balls and curve balls away. Keegan Rothrock comes back with a low rise ball, and Emily Digby gets barrel more out in front and blasts that one out of the yard to the left side of the field.
Ray with the ground ball to the shortstop, Cahalan to first. That will do it, but not before. 4-run score for Georgia. The Bulldogs are up 5-1 after 4.
They have this weekend, and a lot of credit to Georgia. They've taken advantage of it. They've gotten that timely hit when they needed it with a runner in scoring position. They strung together those great hits opposite way, and then it was Emily Digby with the huge blast out to left field to really bust this game open.
Her 8th home run of the season. 67 home runs now for Georgia as a team. And strike one to Gabby Camilla. Popped out to short her first time, so now Randy Rolling working with a 4-run lead. Line shot foul. Florida came into this series, the final series of the season in the SEC, with 2 errors in conference play. They've committed 4 here in this series.
Yeah, what, 20 errors on the season total combined coming into today's game?
Right. Oh, 0-2 the count to Comia, leading things off here for the Gators in the 5th. Called strike 3. 1 down here in the 5th. So much at stake, not just for seeding for Lexington in the SEC tournament, but also NCAA tournament. That RPI 16, we know the story by now. Top 16 teams get to host the regional round. The RPI isn't the lock for where you are, but you want to be inside that RPI of 16, top 16. That seems to be the case year after year, right, Madison?
Yeah, the selection committee, they're going to look at the RPI. They're also going to look at DSR. They're going to look at KPI. I'm throwing a bunch of letters at you, I know, but when you look at all these different rankings, each of them kind of take into account a bit something different when it comes to the calculations and the rankings of each one of them. But Georgia's kind of pretty much in the same spot. When you look at DSR, they're sitting there right at 17, and for KPI, they're right at 18. So they're kind of right on that host bubble if you were to just look at those rankings specifically. So a win today over Florida would be massive.
Shoemaker, chop, Lindemuth shows that arm. 2 down. Bailey came into the game with 3 errors on the season and 97 assists.
Plays a great third base over there. Has had to make some tough plays in this series, too. There was one ground ball you and I were talking about yesterday. Kind of took a funny hop off of her shoulder, and she recovered and still was able to make the out. Moves very smoothly to both her left and her right. Georgia's defense, too, coming into today on the season, only had 24 errors. So just goes to show you how rare it is for both of these teams to make the miscues that we're seeing this weekend.
2 down for Jocelyn Erickson, 1 for 2. Brought in Florida's run with a double in the 3rd. Strike 1.
We'll see where Randy Rolling decides to throw to Jocelyn. Remember her last at bat, that double that she had off of the right field wall was one of those rise balls way up and in on the hands. Maybe she tries to go back away with some of these curveballs or even an off speed here.
1-1.
You've seen a big improvement for Jocelyn this season, specifically on the low and inside part of the plate. Just looking at last year, her slugging percentage on the pitches that were tracked was right around 600. This year, Eric, it's up over 1,300 in the same low and inside location.
Rolling works away, 2-1. Full house here at the Jack in Athens, closing out the regular season. Erickson lifts it down the line and right, just foul.
I was waiting for that ball to see if it was going to hit off of the foul pole down the right field line.
Erickson bidding for her 20th home run of the season. Two-time All-American. To the shortstop, Digby to first. 1-2-3 inning for Rolling. She's retired 5 in a row. Georgia up 5-1 after 4.5. Right now, Florida's trailing Georgia as we get late in this game. But everywhere you look, there's so many storylines. You know, for some of the teams in the SEC, as ball one from Rothrock, you look at Auburn, a 25-25 team. So if they sweep their doubleheader with LSU today, they'll be eligible for the NCAA tournament. Mizzou, a team just a game under 500, have to be 500 to be eligible for the tournament. Win today and one win in Lexington, they'd be eligible. Whether or not they get in is another story. You have to start with being eligible. So that is one layer of stories. Then you have teams jostling position and trying to get double byes in the tournament and top 8 and work a bye. That's a ball to Roos, 2-1.
And conference titles to go along with that, too.
Yes.
So much at stake, and a lot of the games have gotten underway, too.
A&M and Oklahoma just getting underway after A&M had 5 runs with 2 outs in the 6th inning and the completion of game 1 from Thursday to win yesterday 8-5. So they're playing a doubleheader here today. 5 o'clock game will be right here on ESPN, 5 o'clock Eastern time. You see Baylor and Texas Tech. 2:30 Eastern time here on ESPN. 3 big games here today. Roos out of play. Alabama looking for the sweep of South Carolina. Vic Moten went 6 yesterday. Freshman looked good again, 3 hits. So Bama clinched the series. That's their 7th series win this year. Crimson Tide have had a great run. How about Arkansas in Austin? That's been impressive.
Robin Herron, when she is on, she is one of the toughest pitchers to hit against in the country.
Leadoff walk for Roos here to get things going in the 5th for Georgia. Sailor Timmerman came on for Arkansas yesterday. 7 strikeouts in 4 innings pitched. That was electric in a 4-3 win as Arkansas was down 3-0, but had a 4-run 5th inning. And it's another road series win for Arkansas. They seem to do that time and again. Tennessee, after that loss to Alabama, they've bounced back in a big way. They've won 4 in a row. They've won the first 2 games of the Mizzou series. Ball 1, a good win.
They're up 1-0, too, in the bottom of the first inning. Gabby Leach with a double.
Mississippi State and Ole Miss, rivalry weekend in Oxford. Alyssa Faircloth had the one-hitter with 14 strikeouts game 1 on Thursday, but Ole Miss with a bounce back to even up that series. Ground ball to second to toss to short, and it's dropped. Everyone's safe. Another Florida error. That's their 2nd today, their 5th in the last 2 games.
Off the bat, this looks like it's going to be a tailor-made 4-6-3 double play all the way. A nice job by Gabby Comia, gets the toss, underhanded flip, and Kenley Cahalan goes for the bare hand to try to get rid of that ball as quickly as she can. But in that moment, too, I'm thinking you've got to get the first out. You've got to get that lead runner out over at second base. And now when you look at the way that Kenley Cahalan has played shortstop all year, 9 times out of 10, she's going to make that play. But in this moment, she's not able to secure that one barehanded, and it ends up being costly. And we have seen Georgia already capitalize on the mistakes that the Florida infield has made, and now they've got another prime opportunity, 2 runners on board, nobody on, to try to tack on some more insurance runs.
I get the feeling, too, Tim Walton goes out there. This wasn't the pitching coach going out to talk to the battery.
No,
this
that was all defense.
Tim Walton went out to the circle, but that was to send a message to the infield to clean things up, you would think.
Yeah, sending a message too, and also slowing things down. It is loud here at Jack Turner Stadium. The energy is outstanding, and you're trying to slow things down because Georgia is just feeding off of this momentum, and you don't want Keegan Rothrock too to go out there and try to do more than what she's already been doing. She induced a weak ground ball to the right side. That's what you need from her.
Strike 1 to Sarah Gordon. They scored a throwing error on Comia. Looked like the ball was there. That's just Cahalan trying to make a bare hand play.
I agree with you. That's 2 errors now that have been charged throwing errors where if we're looking at it, I feel like the error should be on the receiver. Now I get why it's being called on the thrower, but when you look at these plays, it was the throw that came across from Kendall Grover over to Gabby Comia over at second base that she didn't make the play on, and then also that toss to Kenley Cahalan. Those are balls that just have to be caught.
1-2 to Gordon. Robbed of a hit in the first by Thomas in left. Reached on an infield single and scored in the fourth. 1 for 2 today, 4 for 9 in the series. Line drive, base hit to right. He'll hold the runner at third. Good throw from right from McClellan. Bases loaded, nobody out. You've been impressed with how Georgia has approached things at the plate here today.
They are letting these rise balls travel in, and you heard Tony Baldwin talk about the change in speeds. That's one of the reasons why Keegan Rothrock is so good in the circle, because of the high spin rate and how she's able to take just 4 or 5 miles per hour off of those pitches. But Georgia's taking away any bit of indecision on those off speeds with the way that they are swinging the bat.
Strike one to Gabby Novicka. Sorry, buddy. Just
purely based off of the barrel angles, too. And I know we talk a lot about the oppo-G and the righties trying to hit the ball that way, but it's all part of the game plan. It's trying to get your knob on plane with the ball, keeping your barrel back behind your hands to be able to drive the ball with authority.
0-2 to Novicka, who's 0 for 2 today.
And because of that, I am a little surprised that we're not seeing Keegan Rothrock work more on the inner half to these right-handed batters. Like you talked about earlier, she can pump in 70, 71, so I'd be tempted to throw 70 miles per hour up and underneath the hands, challenge them in a different spot.
Back out over the plate, fouled off by Novickas. Freshman entered today, tied for the team lead in hitting at 412. With Jaden Goodwin. Our graphics department, perhaps foreshadowing here. Here's the 0-2. Comes inside and misses for ball one.
Novickas has had a great freshman season for Georgia. Starting over at first base. Powerful right-handed bat right in the middle of this order.
2-2 to the freshman from Chicago. 4 for 8 with a couple of runs batted in the series. Foul ball. I think it was off Novickas. She didn't go anywhere, just took a moment to get the call.
Let's see where this one hits. Yeah, it looks like it hits right on the inside of that left foot.
Another 2-2. Hit deep to left field. It is gone. It is a grand slam. And Georgia busted open. A walk-off as Georgia run rules Florida here in the fifth. What a way to end the regular season here in Athens.
You could just feel this at bat leaning more and more in favor of Gabby Novickas, and Keegan Rothrock goes back outside, and this is exactly where Novickas wants it. She knows it straight off of the bat that she has sent that ball all the way out to the cages, out beyond left field. Her 7th grand slam of the season.
Teams.
The team's
That would be some
seventh
kind of
I
record.
know. The team's 7th Grand Slam of the season.
But remember, Madison, she was down in the count 0-2, and you talked about how good a season she's had, and it hasn't been her day today, but you've mentioned it with other players here. When that opportunity presents itself, the freshman was ready, and she left no doubt off the bat. Her 6th home run of the season. Remember, Georgia was losing 7-2 to Florida last night in Game 2 of that series. Look how things have flipped.
To be able to come back so quickly, too, I think Florida was a bit stunned just watching that ball leave the park, and all of a sudden, it's the end of the ball game. But so much on the line in this series. We've talked about it all game long.